Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. A few days ago I mentioned something called Cyber Polygon, and I don't know how many of you actually got a chance to look it up. I should have had this information out there sooner, but you know, 4th of July and all of that kind of got in the way. But I want to explain to you what that is and why it's important to you as a prepper. So we all remember, you know, of course, the Colonial Pipeline being cyber attacked, and the JBS meat processing plants being attacked. 6 months ago, AT&T said that these attacks were going to get worse. And they believed that water, sewer, electric would probably also be attacked. So I don't know how many of you are aware of Event 201. That's Event 201. So what this was the WEF, the World Economic Forum, staged, they simulated a Event 201 was kind of a simulation of a zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people, and eventually becoming transmissible from person to person. Okay? So what this involved was the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, the World Economic Forum, and of course, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Big surprise, right? And this occurred on October 18th of 2019. Okay, so October 18th of 2019, they had this Event 201. And I'll tell you, when I was doing the research on this, because I had heard other preppers talking about it, and I wasn't real sure what all of that meant. It was really interesting that the anticipated scenarios that they brought up in Event 201 just so happened to come about. So, for example, when they discussed Event 201 in this World Economic Forum, they talked about global lockdowns, the collapse of industry, biometric surveillance, censored information, mass unemployment. They even identified rioting in the streets, rioting, looting, burning, etc. in the streets. So this was, like I said, this was October of 2019. Not that long before this coronavirus was unleashed. So what's happening now with this Cyber Polygon? So what's happening, what that is that on July 9th, the same group, okay, are going to get together. Because the WEF founder, the World Economic Forum founder, who happens to be Klaus Schwab, look him up, K-L-A-U-S, and his last name is S-C-H-W-A-B, Klaus Schwab, is basically saying that the cyber pandemic is going to be worse than the COVID-19 pandemic. So when they did the Cyber Polygon in 2020, they had 3 basic tenets, and I want to bring this up. So from 2019, Event 201, it was talking about this biological thing. Okay, so they were talking about the coronavirus. And they had everything right down to the rioting and looting in the streets, the lockdowns, loss of industry. In 2020, they basically had 3 tenets, and this was the Cyber Polygon from 2020. Okay, so there are 3 tenets where the first one was digital identity schemes. So keeping a digital identity of everything that you do online, like we didn't know that already, where you are, so tracking your phone, so what you do on social media, and etc. So basically having that cyber identity, a hacker could come in and basically erase you from everything, from society. They could just come in and say, nope, you didn't exist. Take you out. Okay? And because they would have access to all of that information, in one of my previous videos, I talked about the social credit score, right? So they could take all of this information, what you look up online, where you go, what you order from Amazon, what you say and who your friends are on the social network. This could be the basis of the social credit score, like they have in China. Wouldn't that be fun? The second tenet that they had was that basically the average person isn't smart enough to think for themselves. Now remember, I want you to remember that these are the 3 basic tenets from 2020, last year. The average person isn't smart enough to think for themselves. And so big tech and mainstream media is going to tell you what to think, and they're going to shut down dissenting views. And the second part of that one is that governments will need to partner with traditional, and this is them, I'm going to put this in quotes. Governments will need to partner with traditional and social media companies to research and develop nimble approaches to countering misinformation. Isn't that sweet? So if you think anything differently than what the government tells you that you should think, this is one of the tenets of the Cyber Polygon that they had in 2020. Okay? So number 3, their third tenet, their last tenet, was trustworthy public and private partnerships. So interagency collaboration between public and private sectors and law enforcement. Key. And it sounds great, it really does, but it actually means to reshape the global economy and put all aspects of society under global elitist control. That's basically what the tenets of Cyber Polygon in 2020 were all about. Okay? So I want you, so again, I'm going to just briefly say, so in 2019, on October 18th, and you can look this up, they simulated a novel zoonotic, sorry, I can't pronounce that word very well, zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people and transmissible from person to person. And they had everything correct right down to the riding in the streets. In 2020, Cyber Polygon, they talked about the 3 tenets of a prepping for a cyber pandemic, okay? Digital identity scheme. The average person isn't smart enough to think for themselves. And you can look this up, folks. This isn't me making this up. Go to their website. I think it's cyberpolygon.com. And then having these partnerships between public and private agencies so that you cannot argue against or have a dissenting view. So why is all of this important today? So On July 9th of 2021, so 3 days from now, they're doing their cyber Polygon. Same group of people. WEF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, all these, elitist people. So what they're doing is they're specifically targeting global cyber pandemic. Now, we've seen it, as I started the video with, the Colonial Pipeline, the JBS food processing. They just recently hit, I don't remember how many, it was like 1,000 different companies that they just hit again, and they were asking for like $50 million, and it affected, I think, 12 or 17 different countries, right? So the tenets of this one that's coming up, July 9th, of course, it was really difficult to find and sort of narrow down what they were going to be talking about. But for this one, in 3 days, the first thing was defense, repelling cyber attacks on critical business systems. Well, what are critical business systems? We already know that the dude in the White House gave Russia a list of places not to attack. Nobody knows what's on that list. And even after he met with Putin, the Russian hackers, that's when they attacked these, I think it was 1,000 or 3,000 companies. They're looking for the $50 million, right? So what is critical business systems? And who owns those critical business systems that are supposedly off limits to these Russian hackers, right? But this is what they're talking about on July 9th, which I think is why the dude in the White House probably was given this information and said, well, don't touch these because, Nancy Pelosi owns this ice cream company or, whatever. But there's no real clear view on what they mean by critical business systems. The second thing is the response. So develop skills in incident investigation. Look, cyber warfare is not a new thing. We all know that. Since the dawn of the internet, I'm sure many of you have had your Facebook profiles hacked, or your emails hacked, or your bank account hacked, or, whatever. This isn't a new thing. So why, what's it been, 30 years? Why would they feel the need to all of a sudden try to develop skills in incident investigation? I get that these groups are more savvy, more tech savvy, I guess, to carry out these cyber attacks. And now with the Bitcoin craze, if you will, I get that it gets to be a lot more complicated. But wouldn't you think that as the technology became more complicated, that their skills to combat that would also keep up with that? Or is this something like our power grid, where the more power that we need and the different resources that we find to generate power, and America's kind of left their power grid wide open. It didn't, the infrastructure didn't develop at the pace that other parts of it did. Does that make sense? And so some of the things that they were saying that they are going to talk about on July 9th. Now, folks, this is July 9th. It's not that far away. So what is this going to impact? And this is what they're going to talk about. Remember, they were right in 2019 and they were right in 2020. Okay? So in 2021, what they're saying, it could impact our medical devices. So there's a lot of people across the world that are getting these implants that, track your medication, track your heartbeat, track your oxygen levels, blah, blah, blah. And then the Internet of Things. So your smart TVs, your phones, your cameras, etc. That's the Internet of Things. Okay? There's also the Internet of Bodies. So your banking systems, your power grids, water treatment facilities. Remember, was that last week that somebody tried to poison a city because they allowed, and I apologize, I don't remember how that went, but they allowed something into the water to try to poison the residents of the city because they can, right? It's also the government IT systems, and it's the military and defense infrastructures. So what I'm getting at, and I'm gonna wrap this up because I don't want to make this too long or too complicated. So here's the whole basis of this video. In 2019, in Event 201, look it up, they simulated coronavirus and got everything right, including down to the rioting in the streets. Cyber Polygon in 2020, they talked about your digital identity schemes and big tech and MSM telling you what to think. And that they wanted that collaboration between the public and private sectors so that they could reshape the global economy and put all aspects of society under global elitist control, such as the WHO, for example. It's happening. Look around you. Okay? Now, in 2021, in 3 days, on July 9th, they are specifically targeting a cyber pandemic. And the things that they are saying will be impacted are your medical devices, smart TVs, phones, cameras, banking systems, power grids, water treatment facilities, government IT systems, and military and defensive infrastructure. I don't know about you all, but this has me really concerned. Why are we letting these global elitists control what happens? Well, we know why. That's rhetorical. It has to do with the NWO, right? And they have a really good puppet right now that they can control on those strings. Joe Obama's doing a really good job at following orders. So, in almost every prepper video I do, you need to prepare for power grid down. You can do without the internet, and you can do without your cell phone. We've done it before. We can do that again. But power grid down, unless you have your backup communication and you have your prepping resources done in a way that you can survive even if the grid goes down. You're kind of going back to the Stone Age, right? If you've got your preps in the right place, you can overcome this. But you also need to make a stand. How much of this are you going to allow? The next video I think that I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the book of Revelations. Because as all of you know, I'm a very Christian person. And I believe that we are very much headed for that New World Order and the time of the Antichrist. And I think all of this is leading up to, how many are going to take the mark of the beast or denounce Christ. I think that's where it's all headed. So that will be one of my very soon videos. It might not be the very next one, but that also will be coming up soon. So I've already gone over the 20 minutes, so I apologize that this is a little lengthy. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. Please hit that like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell. Kind of helps me get my numbers up, but it also lets me know how many people are interested in these types of videos, the more informational, you know, what's going on out in the world, along with the actual kind of the nitty-gritty of the prepping. So please let me know. And again, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. God bless all of you. Bye-bye.